Welcome to the Pink Pasta Podcast. Spooky stories, questionable morals, and a demon with a flair for drama. That's me. Relax. It's only a podcast. What's the worst that could happen? This is not supernatural creepy, but it is one of the more disturbing and surreal experiences of my life. One early morning a few years ago, I'm walking to my bus stop and eating a banana. It's dark and misty, around 5 a.m., and I'm internally debating something trivial, like if I want my daily Starbucks before or after the commute. As I approach the dimly lit corner on my street, a tall man in a black mask steps out of the dark alleyway to my left. Sleepy and disoriented, I barely acknowledge him when he shouts, "Put down your fucking purse," and points his gun to my head. Things start to click. The man says, "Put down your bags," and I tell him, okay, I'm putting them down over here. He orders me to walk over to him towards the alley and get down on the fucking ground. And I agree. I'm coming, okay. My heart is beating a million miles a minute and my hands still smell sticky with banana. I know I need to get away. I don't know why, but my mouth won't stop working. Look, see, I'm on the ground, my stuff is over there, please just take my stuff, but he doesn't like it. Shut the fuck up, okay? He gets on top of me and puts the gun to my head. At this point, I should mention the fact that I'm on my way to coach a high school practice and I'm dressed like a dude, huge baggy pants, hat, jacket. If not for my telltale voice, I'd look like a prepubescent 90s rap star. Anyway, as the guy gets on top of me, gun to my head, he looks at me and pauses. I can't tell you why I know this, but I swear that at this moment it clicks for him that I'm a woman. He gets off of me, stands up, and points to the dark alley. Come with me. My stomach hurts. I remember that there have been a recent rash of sexual assaults in my neighborhood. During the daytime, no less. When the man points down that dirty alleyway, my internal voice speaks the fuck up. Voice number 1 says, "There was no way in hell you were going to go down there without a fight." "But he has a gun, you dipshit," replies voice number 2. "Fucking follow me." The real voice, his voice, hollers. So I do what I do best. I talk. "I'm coming, I'm following you," I call. And the man makes a crucial mistake. He believes me. I take 1, 2 tiny steps backwards towards the sidewalk, and he turns his body and his gun toward the alley. This is my moment. I take a deep breath, tuck my head down in case he starts shooting, and start sprinting away. I hear a voice screaming in a high-pitched wail before I realize that it's mine. After running 6 or 7 blocks, I head back to my apartment, hoping he's not there to see where I've lived. The police check out the alleyway an hour later, but the potential attacker is long gone. The only evidence of the encounter is my banana pill browning in the alleyway, and the adrenaline rush that I couldn't shake for days. I would be lying if I said that experience didn't bother me still, but I'm so fortunate to mainly be haunted by the what-ifs and not the what-dids. About 2 years ago, I was driving home from a family reunion pretty late at night, and the drive was about 2 hours. I didn't stay the night because I had to be back for work the following day. Most of the drive was on roads with dense bushes and trees on either side. The real creepy ones you see in a lot of movies. Anyway, I had been driving about 45 minutes and I was starting to get really tired. You know how sometimes you just suddenly become really tired out of nowhere? Well, yeah, that's what happened to me. I knew I wasn't going to last, but I didn't come across any place that felt like I could park and safely sleep. Anyway, after it became clear to me that I wasn't going to find a place to pull up and my tiredness wasn't going away, I did something very questionable. I pulled over to the side of the road into the grass behind some bushes to try and hide my car from anybody else who was going to come past. Mind you, the roads weren't empty. I came across another car every few minutes or so. I made a mental note that the time was 11:22 and then fell asleep. Sometime later, I was awoken by a scratching sound. I looked at the clock. 11:50. The sound stopped after a few seconds, and because I was still extremely tired, I didn't bother looking around and simply went back to sleep. I was later awoken by the same sound, and it was now 12:40. This time it really freaked me out because the sound didn't stop. The thought ran across my mind that it was just an animal inspecting the car. But why would it return almost an hour after it had left the previous time? I looked in my rearview mirror and just managed to catch a glimpse of something running away into the forest. Now, at the time, I thought it was the damn hook killer. You know, the one that scratched that couple's car and then slaughtered the guy when he got out to investigate? Fuck that, I thought to myself. So I got the hell out of there. There was a bend no more than 100 yards up the road, and as I came around to it, there was a fucking car parked off to the side of the road with the driver's side door open. I slowed down just to see if anyone was there. There wasn't. Then I looked around in my rearview mirror. I didn't see anything. And all of a sudden, this guy comes sprinting around the corner. He starts screaming at me, shouting stuff like, hey you, get the fuck out of your car now. I noped the fuck out of there and sped off. I never saw the guy again. Moral of the story, don't fucking sleep on the side of a deserted road. Every time I stay at my grandma's house, I hear someone walking upstairs. It starts at one side of the room, casually walks to the other side, then stops. This will happen maybe twice a night. I didn't start hearing it until I was about 14, when my grandparents made me start sleeping in a different room on the first floor because they started sleeping in separate bedrooms, blah blah blah. Regardless, both of their rooms are also on the first floor. For a little backstory, I have always been afraid of the upstairs at their house. I don't know why, but it's always freaked me out, and I refuse to ever go up there alone. I'm 23 now, and I still won't go up alone. There's one room specifically, though. It's a long, narrow bedroom. When you open the door, there are closets on your left and right, a bed placed roughly in the middle of the room, and a window on the far side opposite the door. I was told growing up by my grandparents that the sons of the previous owner claimed to see a gorilla come out of the closet at night, dance around the room, and then go back into the closet. I thought nothing of the story until I had started sleeping in the other room. The room located directly below the scary room upstairs. So, we all go to bed. All the lights in the house are off, and I'm still awake, lying on the bed. Then I hear it. Thump, thump, thump. Starting at one end of the room upstairs, it got closer to me, passed right above me, and continued to the end of the room, where it stopped. I'm wide awake, terrified out of my mind. It was no question to me that I had heard footsteps. I knew that slow, casual pace. I was freaked out and went to my grandpa's room. I told him what I heard. He told me that the house is old and it creaks. But he turned on the dining room light for me so that I felt a little safer. I tried going back to sleep. Then it started again. This time from where it ended the first time, by the window upstairs. It walks over me again and stops when it reaches the door. I thought it was over, until 5 seconds later, when I heard it coming down the stairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Silence as it reached the landing. Then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and silence again as it reached the first floor. I was frozen in shock. Whatever it was on my floor of the house, and sadly, unaffected by the dining room light. I was staring at the doorway to my room. The dining room light was shining in, and my vision began to distort. I felt dizzy with fear, so I pulled the blankets over my head and suddenly heard a scratching sound from inside my room. I knew exactly where it was coming from, too. My grandpa's gun case. It was a very obvious sound, scratching on the wood. Long scratches down the front of the gun case door. I could even hear the door ever so slightly tapping against the frame as each scratch began. I tried to scream, but I couldn't. I took a second to take a deep breath and let out a loud scream. In seconds, my grandpa had made it to the room, and I was relieved. Needless to say, he didn't believe me, so I did what any normal person would do. I draped a sheet over the side of the bed and slept underneath it. I wrapped myself tight in a comforter, put on headphones, and turned my back to the door. There could be a party of ghosts in my room, and I wouldn't even know. The next morning, my grandpa told my grandma about what happened the night before. She said, "Oh, that's silly. You know your cousin woke me up the last time she stayed here. She came in my room saying, 'I hear footsteps.'" Needless to say, I slept under the bed for the rest of my week's stay with them. I've stayed there countless of times since that happened, and I hear footsteps every time. I sleep on top of the bed now, but keep my back to the door and sleep with headphones on. I haven't heard it come down the stairs since that first night. But if it does, I don't want to know. This was the Pink Pasta Podcast. I'm your host, Pink, the demon you willingly invited into your ears. Thanks for listening. Come back next time.